Hey there, this is Dan. You're watching the Salty Sea, and I'm excited about this video. I have been wanting to make this video for a very long time, probably for a year. And I finally found some folks who were down to make it with me to try this crazy idea. I just gathered up 18 of my favorite Warcry warbands that I've kind of seen around the internet. And then at Adepticon, I bumped into some really awesome new content creators, Riley and Rafik from Swolehammer. If you don't know, Rafik was there. If you were there, Rafik was there with some Soulblight Gravelords. Riley actually went 4-0 with Gloomspite Gits. But more than just their tournament performance, I don't even know why I even mentioned that in a hobby video. They are just awesome people, and I had a great time talking with them. We got through a cool 18 warbands over this video. If you want to be in the next one, because I am dead set on doing this again in 6 months. If you want to be in the next one, just comment down below with a link to where I can find your warband pictures, whether it be preferably either Instagram, Reddit, or Twitter. And I'll check it out, and I'm gonna put together 15 to 20 warbands at some point in the future, and I can't wait to do this again. So without further ado, let's get into the convo. So I'm excited to bring Swolehammer onto the site. Rafik and Riley, why don't you let the people know, introduce yourself and tell the viewers what you're about.
Yeah. No, we're a YouTuber channel from Pennsylvania. And we just both are really passionate Warhammer players. We like to try to find like the positives and everything. And like I kind of have told you before, the hobby's given me so much or us so much, and so I like to give back. And just like to cover a lot of mostly AOS and Warcry content, but a little bit of Kill Team and stuff here and there, and various formats, and just kind of be fun and have a fun time doing it.
Yeah, so Rafik's been in the game a little bit longer than I have. He started with 40k and then worked his way into AOS and then kind of got me into the hobby. I was kind of more into fantasy, and so I shifted more in the fantasy direction than the sci-fi direction, and I started with Warcry, and so that's been a lot of our content, and I've been slowly learning more about AOS and maybe Kill Team. We'll see.
Cool. Well, like I said in the intro, I'm really glad I ran into you guys at Adepticon. Yeah, I had a ton of fun hanging out, and really glad to bring you on here. Well, I say like I said in the intro that I haven't recorded yet, but our my audience doesn't know that yet until I forget to cut this out. But
Yeah.
let's move on past the beautiful face of Bob Ross and get into some of these paint jobs, huh?
Sure.
So I wanted to give Iron Golems their own little kind of section because, we meme on them so much for being so bad in game, but I think they might be the most popular. Like when I see just incredibly painted warbands on Instagram, I feel like it's almost always Iron Golems. So here's one that I actually didn't get from Instagram. This was Bell Tower X on Reddit. I asked him if I could post these, asked them, and then they said yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think of the OSL here?
That's fantastic. I don't follow a lot of like Instagram like painting stuff because the generic answer if it'll make me sad because I'm not a great painter. But like I sometimes see these paint jobs where it's like there's some kind of glow or something and it just works, and it breaks my brain because I don't know how you do that outside of actually putting lights in them, and I imagine that's not what's happening here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I always love when people really go for the thematic, like really going for the whole like Warcry, like in this case the kind of like catacombs idea where they're like in a molten area and like it matches the scenery that they have. I suspect Iron Golems are popular, probably not only because they're one of the original warbands, but just because I think they are really just iconic. They are on a lot of like the like original like advertising for Warcry,
Yeah.
and they are just a really cool looking warband. So I'm happy to see people gravitate towards it. And also, there's a chaos dwarf, and I love dwarves and chaos. So I mean,
When do we get to see those
what's not to love? Yeah.
Chaos Dwarfs? Bring him back.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. Fingers crossed.
But no, yeah, I mean, this paint job right here, like I said, getting the glow effect is super cool, but also having it look like it's what do you call it, glowing onto the bodies and stuff. It's like so amazing. I mean,
Yeah. And
And
so
you
often.
kinda hit,
Oh, go on. Yeah.
sorry. Oh, I was gonna say you kind of hit the nail on the head when you referenced the catacombs box, because it has the catacombs feel, because it's like the dingy like lower passages with like the molten stuff kind of going on, which is very much the catacombs vibe. So yeah, it has the vibe of Warcry. It's incredible.
yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of the time when you see on the gram someone's done an OSL effect, it's almost always with just like one model. And here, this painter's just gone and done their holding warband this way, which is like some real intense effort there, which I really love.
Yeah. I like the implication that they're all kind of standing on the ledge and they're all just like team. Yeah, they've got the team vibes.
yeah.
Yeah, like
They're
on
all
the other side of this ledge is like the last dude in their warband taking a picture of all of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. The photo op, the Kodak moment.
Yeah.
You only need your Othi, you only know.
So I'm
You
gonna
only
move through a
be on
couple
the earth.
more Iron Golems. The first one being Dana Howell. Dana Howell's an amazing sort of painting YouTuber. I don't know if you guys have heard of Dana, but I got to feature on the channel. This
Very
was
cool.
like ages ago, and Dana's got like 40K followers or something. So it was huge. I think I got like 400 subscribers the next day after that video came out, which was
That's crazy.
like really incredible for me. So I was really
Yeah.
excited, and this paint job, I think, is just like very kind of influential. I think Dana posted it a couple years ago, and I don't know, at least for me, thinking about kind of the light transitions, it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. It very much gives the vibe of like they're walking through a dingy place, and you can kind of see it like slowly coating like their feet and kind of like up their legs. The bases just, it almost looks like they're just covered in dust, and you can just like airbrush it away or something.
Yeah, I imagine there's like a ton of mist wherever they're walking.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate. That's one thing that I think is really underrated is not that there's a right or wrong way about it, but I definitely feel like there's too much, at least maybe specifically from GW, there's a lot of like when you get your technical paint or bases, like, oh, don't get it on the feet, like you want to get around it. And I'm like, well, they're like living in this environment, so I kind of want some of it to be on their feet
Yeah.
because it looks like they're in it. And this is like a perfect kind of middle ground where it's not like you're just clumping technical paint on, but it's just so intricately like they exist in this world, but it's actually like subtle, which I really like.
Yeah, it is. It's like a traditionalist, I guess, approach or something. Also,
Yeah.
I said airbrush it away. I mean like dust it away. Just to be
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
I don't want to airbrush it. Beautiful.
Actually, moving right on to getting it on the feet, Sam Lenz, who actually won a Golden Demon at Adepticon, or at least got silver. He painted a huge the Forge World version of the Great Unclean One, and won
Oh,
silver
yeah.
with it. Yeah,
I remember
Was
that.
that the one we saw?
Yeah, it's I think it's technically like the exalted greater demon of Nurgle model from Forge World, but yeah,
Yeah.
the great unclean one.
yeah,
But yeah, that one was really crazy, and he did these iron golems as well.
yeah. And these are just like all the way turned up to grimdark on the Iron Golems. He's got like rust
Yeah.
everywhere, and yeah, this is. I think I'm gonna have a
has that
lot of
vibe
bright
of-
colors in this video, but I wanted to have some of the like heavy metal stuff too.
And I like stuff heavy metal, so
That is true.
yeah. I mean, I really appreciate. Yeah, also like, I I feel like this is like, what do you call it? Like if we saw, did you watch the Kill Team cinematic for Kill Team 2.0 last year?
I think so.
Yeah, I feel like this is what the Iron Golems would look like if they're in a cinematic of that like level of like
Oh yeah,
animation and stuff, where
totally.
they would just be like hyper, like dirty, realistic, like that would be. This is like what I'd imagine them
Because
looking
they're
like, which is super.
blacksmiths, right? They're like walking right out of the
Yeah,
forge and onto the battlefield. So it's like, yeah, and this is kind of the color of like iron when you haven't treated it yet. You finished
yeah,
forging it, but you haven't polished it. Um, so I think it's pretty cool.
yeah.
So cool.
No, I mean I love it.
And I should clarify, when I said heavy metal, just for the
Mhm.
audience, I didn't mean like heavy metal, the paint studio, GW's paint studio. I
Right.
meant like the
Yeah.
music, you know. I think Sam
Yeah.
Lenz does a lot of his paint jobs as if you're supposed to be listening to like Convent or something while you uh, play with them. So yeah, I appreciate
Maybe
that.
we
It's
should.
cool.
Yeah. There's definitely what do you call it? My friend and I always talk about listening to Carnifex while using Carnifexes and
Uh,
Tyranids.
Right.
yep, yep. All right. So now for something completely different, though we're still on the Iron Golems. I just had to show the Hyper Neon Iron Golems by Epic Duck Studios. Um,
Oh yeah.
this is one of the first paint jobs that like went around the internet. I was just getting into Warcry when they posted this, because it's a professional painting studio. But like, man, I would not have thought to make this, and I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I mean this is up Riley's alley for sure of like just super hyper bright colors. I mean I like it too, but like
It just makes me happy to look at.
yeah,
Yeah.
And like the the turtles reference, like it's that exact vibe of like being 25 years ago and seeing the action figures and stuff on the shelves of Ninja Turtles. It just has that exact same feeling.
hyper
Yep.
neon iron
Yeah.
golems, hyper neon iron golems, hyper neon iron golems, chaos and the 8 points, iron golems.
Nice.
Perfect.
So yeah, I had to include them. Um, and then one last Iron Golems. This is more of like
Ooh.
kind of smooth blends. This is kind of the style that I often sort of try to emulate, although I'm not as good as Dustin Foster is.
Oh come
You
on.
can also find Dustin at Davros the Brute on Instagram, but
Mhm.
I like when there's sort of some realism, but then also one like very fantastical color. So I really
Yeah.
wanted to include these ones.
Yeah, it's always nice to get like something where it is realistic, but it also there's something that like pops kind of,
Hmm.
it's like, and that honestly kind of is a lot of what Sigmar models or Age of Sigmar models or fantasy or Warcry models are about is just like there's like a lot of like detail and like attempt to make it realistic, but then you have to have something that makes it like really stand out.
There's
Like
always one element that's totally off the wall, like obviously Corvus Cabal, right, is like
yeah,
that, or like the Unmade, or like that. But yeah, it's sort of
Unmade for
it's
sure.
always a. I mean, I think the whole AOS setting, but Warcry even more, is very like we're balancing that line of just enough realism so it doesn't seem ridiculous, merged with like
Right.
just off the wall stuff.
Which is something I really like about it. I noticed that there's on the shield and like some of the armor pieces, you can see how some of the paint has like scratched away and you can see the metal underneath it,
Yeah.
which is really cool. That's an effect that I'm like trying to do on
Iron Jaws.
my iron jaws right now. I'm
Yeah.
not achieving it to that degree, and I just wow, that looks great.
Also the very it's like I like it when they take a color that you wouldn't think would match with this army, in this case pink,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
then it like totally blends in with the what do you call it? The handles of the weapons is very good, very well
Yeah.
implemented.
Yeah.
And it fits because like most of the armor is that green color, that kind of, it's like a sea foam, or it goes from sea foam to kind of almost a yellowy green where the highlights are. and then
Yeah.
like that little bit of pink just kind of contrasts it perfectly. I really like it.
Yeah. Perfect. It's especially perfect if they're Nurgle marked Iron Golems.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
And also like what you were saying about the scratching and the weathering, I really like it because it's like you don't usually see the scratching and weathering on like something on a really clean paint job, right? You usually see it on something that's like purposefully dirty. Like I'm
Yeah.
just scrolling back for the video onto Sam Lenz's, right? Like he's got some great weathering here. Um,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
but like adding a little bit of weathering even to a pretty clean paint job can kind of help sell it. Like this is a crew
Yeah.
that is out and about. They are fighting a ton. Yeah, they try to keep their armor clean, so it's like they're clean, but they still have scratches and bruises and stuff like that, which I think is cool and kind of helps sell the story of your particular crew.
Yeah, 100%. It really cranks up and like adds up like another layer of realism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, because they are a crew, it's like since they are like a war band, it's like it's good to kind of like get that character out. And,
Yeah. All right, so moving past the Iron Golems, I promise I won't spend this much time on every faction. I wanted to do like a little subsection on Darcy Bono. For people who don't know, Darcy won Best Painted on Saturday and had some really incredible stuff there. This is the first Beasts of Chaos warband she posted on her
Jeez.
gram. So this, I think only a couple of these models made it into her Adepticon list, if I'm not mistaken. I know she didn't
Yeah.
end up taking these Bulgors, she didn't take these Ungors, but this was the first evolution.
I mean, like, I already dapped up Darcy enough in person when we were at Adepticon because I love Beats of Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, oh, geez, like that, like the paint job. It's like, I think I said it last time we spoke. But it's just like making such old models look so good. And I think that's like really telling in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's a true test of like a really good painter.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Because
Bulgor
I like,
sculpts are awful and they look great here.
yeah. Yeah, it's like I love Beast of Chaos. Don't get me wrong. Like, oh my god, like great faction, but like, and we've talked about this before, Dan, as well. But it's just like they just need a refresh, and
Yeah.
like, but this is like a perfect example. It's like if you have the skill, you can make them pop. Absolutely, and this is just the first generation, like you as it says, of this warband. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
so then here's the final display that she took to Adepticon and
yeah.
won Best Painted with. And
oh, the
I wanted,
side door.
yeah, I wanted to include their big friend because I just thought it was, I mean, just like an incredible piece. I think she posted this on Instagram at some point, and it's just an awesome centerpiece. But
We're lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the display that I looked over because she was sitting right next to me when we were setting up for the tournament.
mm-hmm.
I just looked over and I blown away
Yeah.
by what I was seeing someone just casually get out and put on the table.
And
And
again,
to think to use a tree cookie is just so cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just using the Sylvaneth Wildwoods
Mhm.
for it.
Love to see that.
I've said this 100 times before, but I love Beast of Chaos. But the Dragon Ogres are the mopiest models in
Yeah.
plastic, and they look super. And it just looks so good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Resin Doom Bull, like the Cockatrice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean this absolutely slaps. I mean
Yeah.
it helps because I'm a sucker for chaos, but it's also just a very amazing
Yeah.
paint job. And the side I haven't seen the Sigor, and I
Yeah,
love
that's
I
true.
love the Sigor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the figure either. One of the decisions that I see that I really like, Sylvaneth is the main faction that I've played in AOS so far,
Mm-hmm.
because I've mostly played Warcry and everything. But looking at the tree,
Wildwood.
the wildwood.
Yeah.
Please cut that. It's embarrassing. Looking at the wildwood, you can see that Darcy left out some of the notches to where like you insert the branch and
Oh,
everything.
yeah,
which I
and let
think
them
creates a really
be
good knot.
like little knots in the wood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
really
was
cool.
something I tried to do to like leave some branches out because it looks like a really cool, just natural knot, and I think that's a great effect.
Yeah.
Oh
Also
yeah, I
the
didn't think of that.
also the glowing effect also there on the eye of the Sigor as well is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does really well what I was praising Dustin, his Iron Golems for, of like being hyper realistic in some places and then having these intense pop colors in a few other places. Like the way the yellows and the oranges just kind of like they're like electric on these models and on her like original paint scheme too. Even though most of it, like that Doombull's armor is like heavily weathered and grim dark looking, and then there's this one pop color, and I just really like that style.
Absolutely.
The smear of blood on the axe, just like the rim of the axe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
also very cool.
yeah.
Ugh.
And I included one more of hers, just because Dark Oath aren't the strongest, so you probably won't see them in a lot of tournaments, but they are pretty cool. So I thought I'd include her Dark Oath warband with kind of the green and the tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It looks like there's some freehanding with the tattoos, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean that's a that's a really I wouldn't expect that kind of like paint scheme for Dark Oath, but it's very cool. I like it a lot, and
Hmm.
obviously just a great job. Again, the blood on the axe, like the
Yep.
Doom Bowl, very cool.
Yeah.
And also just in this one, I love the terrain work, like of the bases. That's
Oh yeah, it's really sweet.
super cool.
And it helps to
Yeah.
sell this you know, this sort of Irish wonderland that they're going through. I don't know, like a Celtic thing happening. I don't know
Right.
exactly how to describe it without pissing off all of the quite a few people in Scotland and Ireland that watch Warhammer things. But yeah, I think it's really cool.
For sure.
I also wanted to talk about the best painted winner on Sunday. This was her taking a picture of her warband with her best painted medal, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh,
Um,
that's neat.
the one thing, Alicia, you got to post where we can actually see the freehand on the Griffhounds. Alicia had some like cool, like on the body part of the Griffhounds had some like really cool freehand stripes and stuff and spots that
Oh, very neat.
kind of helped sell it. But she also had like a really solid face work on her Knave Black Talon, and like this rose gold was pretty cool. I also like, I'm not sure if the people watching can see the caption here or if our faces are over it, but it's her flexing on us for this being the worst painted models of her rose gold scheme, which I think is really funny.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I also have to say that it's like I'm not an order guy, but I do have to say I like the pink horror and the blue horror kind of color schemes for the Griffhounds and
Mm-hmm.
the Aetherwing. I don't know. But yeah, the I love the brightness of this color scheme in general.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
because
sweet.
for the Griffhounds you can see like it's like a fleshiness with the pink, but then it also goes into the pink feathers and it doesn't look fleshy anymore.
Right.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
just a really cool decision. And like you said, Dan, like the face work on these models is also incredible. You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
And painting eyebrows without ruining everything is so hard. And she's
Yeah.
actually
Well,
gone and painted the eyebrows, which I would just never try. I've never tried to paint an eyebrow.
yeah, well, also there's what do you call it? There's definition in the cheeks too,
Yeah, yeah.
like as well, which is cool.
Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
shading for the contouring
But yeah, this is a very Zinchi kind of color scheme, and I like it. It's very bright, but also
Yep.
like it's in the setting.
imposing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
All right. So I'm going to go on to kind of just running around some random paint jobs I found of various different war bands. I wanted to start with this Frothy Cat scheme, Frothy Cat on Instagram. It's just super brightly colored Untamed Beasts. I'm going to have a few neon effect war bands here in a row, and this is the first of them, and I really like it.
This is great. The bases are really cool. They're just like
Mhm.
wood flooring, which is awesome. Also just like the whole thing having kind of a theme, but everyone has their own personality. I really
Yeah.
like. Again,
Yeah.
a very like Riley kind of color scheme. Um, no,
The
yeah. Oh, I
leopard
see it.
print on the leader's pants, I think is
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
Perfect. They look like they're very like 90s cartoon villains. They
Yeah,
Yes.
as it says in the
Oh,
comments,
good.
it says jazzercise.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Like the Power Rangers beat the crap out of these guys once.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, for sure. I think I saw the episode.
Yeah. Unjustly because these guys are better dressed.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed.
It's not Power Rangers
And so
fans.
then I'm just putting a different angle on them because they're so cool. I wanted to show two pictures, but I'll
Yeah,
just
getting the
buzz through this one to a meme color scheme that I really love. I think after the Iron Golem, the hyper neon Iron Golems, I think this is my favorite
Oh
meme
man.
color scheme, where it's Corvus Cabal as chickens.
Yeah, they're just chickens. I love it. This is
damn.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, that's really on point. I like that a lot.
So
Also, they just still look scary as hell.
Yeah, they do.
they
That's
do.
like I feel like these are like the spirits of vengeance that come after you in Zelda when you throw the chicken too many times.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. Is that an Easter egg in Zelda?
Yeah, like if you harass, at least in Ocarina of Time,
Hmm.
I'm sure people talk about this in the comments, but like if you harass the chickens too much, there's like a swarm of chickens that comes out and just murks you. And I like to imagine that if you survive the swarm, these are the ones that come after you.
That's
That's
sweet.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I agree. Cause like I agree, they look scarier even than regular. Cause there's just something so off-putting about that kind of harmless chicken aesthetic, but then turned into these horrifying killers.
Well, yeah, I think it's also because of the white. It seems like they have like the actual like skulls of like
Hmm.
birds on their head,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
it
it's
does.
like more apparent. And so it's like that's pretty creepy, unsettling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little bit. I love it.
And then I wanted to shout out Josh from the Dogs of War podcast. He sent me this picture of his Canine Shadow Stalkers, and I didn't get to talk about it on the episode I did with the Dogs of Warcry, but they ran the narrative event. They did a great job. People can check out that video. I'll link it below where I link the Swolehammer link, but down below. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out this warband, which I think is beautiful and kind of has this. They're like kind of dark and brooding, but they're also kind of neon and bright at the same time, and I really like the balance here between those two.
Yeah, it's very fitting for like the Daughters of Cain because
Hmm.
there's just a lot. Like they are the combination of like they are just like really disturbing and like violent, but also just violet and like
Yeah,
colorful in a weird way.
they're like
And
fabulous edge lords, all of them.
pretty much. And also, I have to say, I have an appreciation for anyone who does Canine Shadow Stalkers because they were the second set of models I ever built and painted alongside Signs of Flame with the Catacombs box in the
Cool,
whole
I didn't know
hobby.
that.
Yeah, my first ones were Guardian Defenders, and then it
Hmm.
was the Catacombs box, and these are nightmare to build, and as someone new to the hobby, nightmare to paint.
Oh man.
And so seeing anyone like do a fantastic job is extra impressive, especially because let's point out that the highlighting on the abs.
Oh, was that was one of my points in my head? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's just pristine. The,
But
the
yeah.
the chef's kiss for the episode.
So yeah, I mean, out of all the things I've done in the hobby, so I would say this is definitely one of the more challenging things to tackle, like
Hmm.
in just like in a general sense. And I think it's like totally out of the park, especially the bases too. Like,
The
Oh yeah,
just paint the base, right? Like didn't need to put a bunch of stuff on it, just paint it and it looks cool and it's like yeah.
Yeah, it does. The bases are simplistic, but they still like really just somehow still add to the depth of the paint job.
Hmm.
I really like the gradient of color on the cloth is just fantastic. I think the model in the top middle, I forget the name, like the glowing effect from the
Oh,
magic
the
is just
Doomfire.
done so
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah,
really
it's
nice.
just done so well.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely slaps.
Yeah,
Are you
incredible.
gonna speaking? So if Shadow Stalkers were your second ever warband, are you gonna grab the ones from Underworlds, or are you gonna leave it at the one crew?
So, well, I guess they're my, because I built the defenders, then the sign, and then I got the catacombs box and the signs of flame, and then shadow stalkers. So I guess third built,
Okay.
Such a
um,
liar.
third built kit. But like, I actually don't have my shadow stalkers anymore. I think I left them where I was when I moved because I was
Oh
like,
no.
my paint job was really mediocre, so I kind of wasn't too proud of them. But I do respect these models a lot, but I don't have the original ones. I don't know if I'm picking up that box, but mostly because I want the Skaven because
Yeah, yeah. Those
the
those Eshin are incredible.
yeah,
They're so
and
cool.
getting Eshin in plastic is just awesome, and seeing what they did with it. I just hope there's more when they get their Battle Tome in third edition for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's gotta be.
I'll probably wait
Yeah.
till their rules come out for Warcry, but as soon as they do, I can't imagine me not getting them because, like, I've got a Skaven warband already, so if even just one of them is good, I'll probably definitely pick them up.
Yeah, you brought Skaven to Adepticons. You have to rep them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
If there's a
good.
ton of new sculpts with the new battle tome, I might try to make an army of them, but probably not because I converted a bunch of my plague monks to be censer bearers, and like used
Yeah.
bits. So basically, I don't actually have a 20 rat unit of plague monks, despite having bought that box. So it'd be like really awkward to expand them because at least expanding into pestilence would be really awkward because I've got all these models and I actually can't make a unit out of them ever again.
Just
Um,
do the tactic I'm doing. I'm making, and it's just eight. It's 1,000 points of Sigmar. It's just 8 units for Skaven.
Yeah, it's all elite.
Yeah,
oh,
I made a
nice.
thousand. It's a Warlock Bombardier, 6 Storm Fiends, and a Doom Wheel.
Yep.
Oh, that's
And
sick.
then
Okay.
and
I
then
could
one
paint
one of
Storm
the
Fiends all day. I love painting Storm Fiends.
yeah, and then one of the endless spells may and then it makes it 1,000 on the dot. So
Yeah,
I guess it's
Nice.
9 models.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
this is
perfect.
big boys only.
but no, yeah, you should definitely do it because Storm Fiends all day.
Yep.
All
But
right.
back on the topic of this, yes, this is
Yeah,
a
so let's
fantastic
get let's
video.
get into the Mindstealer, or as I call the Pro Painted Stealer, because
Oh, yeah.
there are tons of Mind Stealers, like mind-blowing Mind Stealers on the internet, um,
Yeah.
that people can check out. But I wanted to include a couple here that kind of have, it's a similar thing where they've painted like texture on the flat parts of the model. So like this blue one, you can see kind of the lines. Um, the one that won a golden demon was like that too, although in the picture they took you couldn't see as well. Um, but it was clearer. It was clearer in person. But yeah, I felt like I had
Yeah.
to put some Mind Stealers in here because this is the one Warcry model that like all the pro painters are constantly painting.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, aside from seeing the Golden Demon one in person, it's like
Yeah.
I've also seen ones that people have painted at like our Warhammer stores and stuff.
Hmm.
And it's like it totally is one of those things that like it's like it just begs to be painted crazily. Like
Yeah.
I've seen in person and online just so many mind stealers that totally blow my mind because people just like go all out. Like I've seen like people do similar to the Untamed Beast we saw where it's just like the leopard print except just like freehanding the leopard print on a mind stealer and like
Ooh,
all the
nice.
crazy stuff. Like it is these are all obviously like great examples of great mind stealers, but yeah, it's like it's just a model that begs to be painted in like a fantastical way.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
looking at
something about
mine now, and it's one of my favorite models I've ever painted, and I've actually never put it in a game. I've just, I just painted it, and now I have
You
it set
should.
up on my table with my games, and it just watches over all the games.
Throw it up on the screen.
I will. I'll need to
Show it
take better
off.
pictures of it so I can do it.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, there's something about the one on the left, the bluish one. I'm colorblind, so I'm doing my best. The bluish one, I think you guys said.
Hmm.
That reminds me of the lion cat from Saga. Um,
Oh,
I
okay.
really enjoy that. I don't know if any Saga fans out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's something with the color scheme and just the way that the face is painted. Um,
So I
Yeah, for
actually
sure.
just recently got the big book that's like the first 56 issues of
yeah,
Saga. Um, I haven't gotten into it yet, but I'm excited to.
it's an incredible read. I still have to catch up. I'm pretty behind, but
Hmm.
yeah, I love that series so much. It's kind of like training wheels for comic people. I know that it's like kind of like the normie comic, but I really enjoy it. I don't care that it's normie. I love it a lot.
Is it normie? Because like I feel like Marvel would be the normie comics, right? But
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's
Saga's not that normy.
it's like the first dip into like the stuff beyond like Marvel and DC,
oh
I
sure,
think.
if it's like you're looking, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I read a few issues of a comic called Monstrous, which was also like one of the kind of first dips beyond, if you're going beyond
Yeah,
Marvel. That was
I've
kind
heard
of
about
cool.
that one.
Even further beyond.
It's kind of like all watercolor style, which is what drew me to
That's
it.
cool.
That's mostly
Mhm.
it for comics for me. Like for me to read a comic, it's got to be like a really crazy art style generally.
Yeah,
For sure.
I always end up listening to like a lot of audiobooks and you can't really listen to a comic, so I
Yeah,
tend to
that's
not
true.
gravitate toward them.
Hmm.
It's just hard to find time to sit down and look at something, but
Yeah. All
I do.
right. So, past the Mind Stealer, I'm going to do one more neon scheme. I just wanted to show some, like, again, kind of dark neon squig hoppers that I liked a lot. Um, yeah, just a
You
crew
put
of
this in
five of
here
them.
for me. I love it. Oh my gosh. The you wouldn't think that the gradient from like the pink to the blue would work, but it just kind of does.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean the yellow robes are awesome. I really like that. I just really like, yeah, I mean everything color-wise about this is fantastic. I mean, yeah, the gradients like you said, Riley, it's like everything just pops with so much demented kind of character. I love it.
There's something very
Yeah.
sinister about like the mushrooms and stuff that they're leaping off of with the red that makes them look like they're
Hmm.
just like organs or
Or like
something.
molten or
Ooh,
something like
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
spooky.
I love that they managed to do the entire rainbow here, and yet it still looks like scary and intimidating, and it kind of still makes sense, which I wouldn't have expected
yeah.
you could do.
They're still kind of grim, yeah, and I really appreciate that.
It has to be something said about people's imagination with squigs, and it's like,
Hmm.
and I still am just always surprised by what people throw out there. There's always something like people one-upping each other with just their squig creativity.
Yeah,
Yeah, squids
absolutely.
are such a good medium for that, just because like yeah, people do them any color and sometimes lots of colors all at once, like these, and it's a fun way to kind of exercise those muscles, I think, and
Yeah.
still look natural.
The painting class that I did at Adepticon, we painted a squig because the teacher was like, "This is the perfect teaching model. It's
Makes
like
sense.
everything about muscles and highlighting, but it's also just a sphere. So you can talk about lights in terms of like the most abstract way because this thing is just basically a sphere, except it's a sphere with muscles. So then you talk about like how the body works, but then also how basic shapes work, and yeah. So it really,
The light playing across different surfaces and
yeah.
textures, and
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, that's fantastic.
All right, so this next one is not for the faint of heart. I probably should have said that before I shifted the screen to it. Um, this
Oh
is
yeah.
the Emperor's Paintbrush. This is a great Instagram account for any 40K players watching. If you love Eldar, um, this this guy is just painting a ton of Eldar right now, like all the new Eldar releases. But this Unmade, I think, is incredible. Where it's like it's actually flayed. You can see like the bits of muscle or the bone underneath. It's horrifying.
Oh yeah.
That's so sick.
That's what the doctor ordered.
It's like being in like biology class and then you have a test coming up on like musculature or something, and then you have a nightmare about the test coming to attack you.
Oh my god.
Actually, it's actually interesting because this is
Yeah.
like the actual like well realized version of my flesh eater courts. Because
Yeah, it's a similar concept for
my
sure.
flesh eater courts are supposed to be blister skin, so I like did it so they're like I pretty much did flesh terrors red, and then I dry
Oh, sure.
brushed. I did it so I dry brushed their skin,
Mm-hmm.
and then washed it so it looks like their skin's matted down because they're just so like intensely ravenous that they don't care that they're just tearing at themselves.
Oh, cool.
That's yeah, but that's like this is like obviously the more well realized version of that, and like it's just so like I mean the unmade are another are another kind of medium in Warhammer in general that are just like they're just like begging to be painted crazily, and this is like a
Mhm.
perfect example of it. I also just love like the blood splatters on the ground. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I was gonna point that out with the excellent cracking job and stuff, and they're just such cool sculpts, like you said. They're kind of begging to be just
yeah.
like dramatized.
100% just like just Hellraiser like vibes. Like
Yeah.
they're just straight Cenobites. I love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I've
More
seen
than
them like kind of painted dingy and grimdark. I've seen them painted with like really bright colors too. Um, and yeah, this one just absolutely blew my mind when I saw it. It like kind of took me a double take because like I didn't think much of the color scheme. Like, oh, you did red unmade, okay, and then actually saw like, oh no, they didn't do red unmade. They did like actual muscle unmade, like revealed body
yeah.
part
Yeah.
unmade, which yeah, really
And just the
amazing.
amount of detail and stuff like that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell that they did like reference pictures and everything too for like the shapes of the muscles and everything, because
Yeah,
it's not fully like realized just in the shape of the sculpt alone. You have to kind of like research, and they clearly did their research.
yeah. I hope they didn't have
Love
too
it.
much fun with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, I wanted to do this Cities of Sigmar warband.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
this was SR Bandrews on Reddit, and the thing I thought was cool here was he had this narrative idea where they basically it was a Cities of Sigmar warband where each fighter is fighting alongside their own ghost. Um,
It's cool.
Yeah,
so
because you
like
can tell the Night Haunt kit bashes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was really cool. These Chain Rasp plus Stormcast kit bashes here. I don't know where they took the shields from. I like the shields a lot. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recognize those. I immediately
yeah,
recognize the Nighthaunt. That's easy, but yeah, the shields, I have no idea.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean the concept and the execution are really well done.
Yeah.
Also, it's
hmm
like I have to say it's like also just really cool to like kind of just like again a thing that I really enjoy about Warcry, and I guess as I've mentioned before, kind of like with Kill Team, as well as like since they are like individuals in this unit, you
yeah,
can give them so much personality, and this is the perfect example of that, where you're just like you just have these models where they're like each a character, and now like you said fighting alongside their own ghosts, you can give each one literally their own different kind of character, and it's like you can even see it in like the one which I assume is the leader, like with his base for when he's like a ghost, it looks like it's like flattened where he was standing,
yeah.
and just like there's more cracks, but this like stuff is kind of in a similar spot. Like I really like the little detail like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, with the tuft plus the skull. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's really cool to see just that kind of like the character draws over from one to another kind of thing.
hmm
Yeah. The amount of just sheer love and care that's put into these is mind blowing to me. Um, yeah, that's a crazy concept. I would like to hear more about it.
Yeah, I wish I'd quizzed them a little bit more about about what they did, but um, yeah, I just think this is pure Warcry, right? This is like everything
Yeah.
that this game is capable of presenting from a hobby perspective is kind of uh, put into this warband, which I really love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
so much room for creative self-expression.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting to the end. Thought I'd put in some Dirty Elves just because I loved how clean this warband was and how they took two colors. This is just like Minnesota Vikings colors or like Los Angeles Lakers colors, but they made it look like actually very reasonable pageantry. I think our faces are covering up the author's name or the painter's name. So this is Ledgington on Reddit. And I'll pop that up on screen so people can see. But yeah, I just really like how clean it is, and also just a really cool like wide variety of what the faction has. You know, when they put in these 3 Blade Lords and then a High Sentinel because the High Sentinel is broken, and then you know a mix of spears and arrows, and then the one you know boss guy, the big guy on Mount.
Yeah, another. I mean, like Lumineth are another one of those armies or factions where it's like they're just like they give me very mixed feelings because I hate them because in Age of Sigmar they're like can just give you such they can be very heinous
Right.
and give you a really miserable time, but then they're such well detailed and usually beautifully painted models just like this one. And you're like, oh god, like this is this kind of day where you're like, I want to be mad, but like I'm getting my ass handed to me by something that looks so good. You can't really be that mad, you know.
Yeah.
It's
I want
like
to know what it is about Lumineth because they are really hard to paint, right? Like they're insanely difficult to paint with all the trim.
Yeah.
So it's wild to me that they are, like you said, they're usually really well painted. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody's Lumineth forest and it's just kind of messy.
Yeah, I would say
Which is
Lumineth is up
yeah.
there with like probably higher up than Slanesh Mortals for like really intricate models to paint.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, like I've seen people. I wish I had a picture of this one, but in our local Warhammer store, this couple comes in and one of the people come in and they have like a watercolored Teclis, and it just like
Oh
with the
wow.
Sphinx, and it just looks insane. Like, yeah, it's like you said, for some reason, like I mean, obviously for good reason, but it's just like for some reason no one comes with like mopey Lumineth. It's always just beautifully painted, and this
Yeah.
is like this is a great addition to that. I mean, like the colors fit, and I actually like it too because instead of having the super bright, it's a little toned down, and I'm kind of about that. Like I really do
Yeah.
like that for the Lumineth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's elegant without being too gaudy. I think part of the reason why you see people go ham so much with Lumineth is because, like you said, Dan, like there's so many like little like details on it to where like if you do kind of gloss over those, it's almost like you're immediately punished for it because it makes your mistakes very obvious.
Sure, that makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, and so I think it really bends people's arms into being like, okay, I have to really care about this, otherwise it's gonna look funky.
Yeah, or it's just a good. It's or people like the challenge as well.
Yeah.
Like some people just are like, I like to paint, and probably a lot of those people don't even like play too much. They just want to have an awesome looking paint job.
Yeah.
And they like elves.
If you're a great painter, this is a good army to kind of reward you for your skill, I think.
Yeah, I bumped into Martin Orlando at Adepticon and he like explained his whole rationale behind his Lumineth color scheme and like he was just so passionate about it and I think Lumineth just absolutely kind of attracts that type of painter to it. I didn't put his Lumineth on here because he has never put a Warcry warband of them up for for
Beyond that.
Instagram or whatever. So you know, I'm sure he's 100% sure he's not listening to this right now. But if he is, or if someone who knows him is, tell him to put up just a Warcry warband worth of his stuff, and then you know, on the second edition of this, I can put that up there.
There you go.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
Hound him down for next Adepticon.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Well, that was the last one, and
Oh.
yeah, I just want to thank you guys for joining me on this.
Please,
It
thank you for
was-
Yeah,
having us.
thank you for having us. Yeah, it's like as you said in the intro that you didn't record yet. it was just great meeting you, and I'm glad we've been able to kind of communicate and do stuff together, because this is just talking about Warhammer and Warcry in general is like a super fun time, and this is like one of the things, like I said in at the beginning, it's just like the hobby gives us so much, so it's so cool just to see what people like put out, and
Yeah.
like what they come up with. It's really, really awesome just to be able to look at it and just be like, have kind of just a fun time being positive about just like cool stuff that we all like.
Yeah. Everyone who is on this, just fantastic job. Give yourself a pat on the back. This is amazing.
Claps all around.
Yeah. So I can't wait to do this again sometime. On my channel, I almost always talk about kind of the more competitive side of the game, the match play side of the game, but I want to just be able to, like, every 6 months or so, just celebrate the game in a totally different way. And so, yeah, I'm really glad you guys came on that ride with me.
Yeah, and I'm glad thank you for inviting us for a wholesome and flayed time.
Wholesome and played.
Yes.
And if anybody watching wants to check out a slightly less wholesome time, they can watch some very gross Nurgle fighters do battle in a pretty sweet battle report that you guys did recently. I also, we had a real nice 70-minute conversation that you heroically cut under an hour about the Q1 meta, so like basically the meta up to and including Adepticon of Warcry, which...
So edited the video 12 hours after we filmed it.
That's true. On a speed run. Yeah.
So...
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that was a great conversation, so people should head over to Swolehammer to check out some of your stuff that you've done. They'll find... You've got some AOS stuff there, right? You've got some Warcry stuff there. Yeah, a lot to check out.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much we do a lot of like Warcry, a lot of AOS, but just pretty much like a lot of the stuff is kind of like what's on our mind and like what we're just, because we're always working on something. We're always working on something new.
Always.
And yeah, so it's just like whatever we want to talk about, we're like, let's make a video. So there's hopefully something there for everyone.
Yeah.
That's dope.
All right.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, this was a great time. I hope we make it to the second edition of whenever this happens. And yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. All right.